Monday Night number 191.
Why waste everyone's
May
time?
17th, 1999. A dreadful show.
Fucking terrible.
Just the worst.
Dude, Medusa and Charles Robinson were the highlight of the show, wrestling each other.
Absolutely.
I'm not even talking like they did great promos. Their match together in the ring was the best thing on this horrible show.
Yes. And the next thing, best thing after that was the fan who hit the ring in the main event.
Fuck.
So let's begin. Ric Flair arrives in a limo. He has Asia, Arn Anderson, DDP, and Charles Robinson with him.
Listen, I don't want to delay this, but can I cut you off here?
Have at it.
Was there like a pay-per-view the night before?
I have no idea. They were off one week.
What in the fuck is going on?
I don't know. I was so confused for so much of this.
So, like... a bunch of shit happened somewhere.
Yes.
Where?
I don't...
I'm guessing Thunder.
Was it Thunder?
I believe Slamboree aired between this show and the last Nitro we watched.
Okay, so Slamboree was the week prior.
Or the night prior, I'm not sure.
So they had I think it was the week prior. So it would have been Slamboree, then no Nitro, then Nitro a week later.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever the fuck happened, like, they did have a video package an hour into the show.
More, yeah.
Okay, now listen. If you want to save your video package for an hour into the show, knock your fucking self out. I don't care. But don't reference anything in it until it's aired. The first hour of this show is them doing a bunch of storylines, presuming that we watched Slamboree. Okay? We didn't watch Slamboree.
No.
Nobody, I don't want to say nobody, but like, if you think about the number of people that were still watching Nitro at this time, millions and millions and millions of people. Lots of them. Most of them. 95% of them or more. In fact, I know it's more because their buy rate percentage was like 2.5. Okay? So 98.5% of these people...
Did not watch Slamboree.
98, 97, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. They didn't watch Slamboree. These assholes are just, they're doing interviews and they're doing angles. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Diamond Dallas Page, and Little Nate all show up in a limo. What? Why? Not explained. Then Charles Robinson goes and there's a door with, and listen, give credit where it's due. Raw today, they take a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and they get a laser printer and they write like chairman's office.
Right.
Okay, this is ghetto. They at least had like a big fucking nice embossed seal. It says office of the president of WCW on the door. There's a real brass nameplate. Charles Robinson slides it out. It says Roddy Piper and he changes it to Ric Flair. What? What the fuck happened? Now, on top of all of that, let's pretend that they did tell us what happened. Because they did later. Do you want to know what happened? At whatever fucking event this is, whenever the fuck it occurred?
What happened, Brian?
Roddy beat Rick!
That's correct.
So why is Roddy's name being replaced with Ric fucking Flair?
I don't know.
What the fuck is going on this show?
I have no idea.
This was the first 2 minutes.
Yes.
And then there's an hour of that. I had no fucking idea what was going on.
No. It felt like we missed
I
6
wrote
months.
2 books about it.
Yes.
Imagine being a viewer. Imagine being a fucking viewer. What is going on here?
I'm curious as to what the rating was for that pay-per-view because they didn't have a Nitro last Monday, so there was no lead-in to their pay-per-view.
No, I think the pay-per-view was the Sunday before. We're 8 days away from the pay-per-view here.
Right, so the pay-per-view, the day before, the pay-per-view was the night before the Nitro that was not on.
Yes, we're 8 fucking days away. So even if you had watched it, I don't remember what happened on a WWE pay-per-view 8 days ago.
I don't know what I did yesterday.
Fill me in, please.
So Mean Gene brings Flair and his crew out for a promo. Crowd cheers Flair, they cheer Arn, but they boo Benoit and Malenko when Arn mentions them. Flair calls out Ted Turner, threatens to fuck Jane Fonda.
He mentions he's the president, which, far as I know from watching the video later, he's not.
I am done with the president, commissioner, owner, Executive VP. I will not use any of those terms going forward.
Well, I guess I'll do it.
Okay. Flair books himself and Robinson against Randy Savage and Gorgeous George. Randy Savage and Gorgeous George is the match he books.
Yes.
Calls out Paige. Paige comes out and Flair says, I am going to help you regain the world title tonight.
He lost it? To who?
And Paige starts talking. I thought, wait a minute, when did Paige lose the title? Who's the champion now? This seems like a major point. You should tell me, the viewer. So, Paige says Kevin Nash has Eric Bischoff in his pocket. Bischoff? When the last time we saw Bischoff, he was doing chores for Ric Flair and being in a dunk tank.
Yeah. Now he's an executive again.
So
Why? Fuck if I know.
So Paige says he's putting a gang together. He brings out Bam Bam Bigelow. So in this segment, we had either appearing or mentioned Dallas Page, Bam Bam Bigelow, Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff. I have no idea who, if any of these people, are supposed to be the baby faces. Zero.
Did I watch the whole show? I still don't know.
It did not get answered. It was not answered 3 hours
segment.
later. And then, dude.
This fucking Bischoff tape promo.
Yeah. Imagine, if you will. Brian, I know you're not a fan of the NFL. Bear with me for a moment. Imagine if you turned in to see a Dallas Cowboys football game on Monday Night Football, head-to-head with Nitro. Just go with me.
I'm sorry.
So, you say, I'm going to watch some football. And you turn on the football game, and instead of seeing football, there's a half hour of Jerry Jones talking. And Jerry Jones could give the exact same speech about his football team that Eric Bischoff gave about his promotion here. I took over. I made them I brought them to the top. We were number one for 80 whatever weeks in a row. In Jerry's case, it was we won 3 Super Bowls. And then things turned around and hasn't gone as well as I'd like. But I'm back in charge now. I'm going to make sure we get to the top. And that went on for a half hour.
Yeah.
What the fuck was this?
You know what? It wasn't even like it was nonstop. There's a promo, then there's a video package for Brett and Goldberg, then there's Bischoff again. Then they go, I swear to God, they go from a Bischoff video to a shot of the crowd back to the video again.
Yeah.
Why did I need to see that?
Let's go through
Can't
this.
we just get this over with?
Let's go through this in order. In this segment, the first Bischoff segment, I believe there were at least 3.
There were 3.
Bischoff makes his comment about being number one for 88 straight weeks. Now it's more competitive than I'd like it to be, but I will make us number one again.
Well, let's talk about this. It's one thing in 2018 to not remember exactly how many weeks it was, okay? You're a year. I don't even know if it was a year, okay? You're maybe a year, maybe less than a year removed from winning all those weeks. Mm-hmm. It's 83. You can't even remember how many weeks it was. And, dude, pro wrestling has been a thing in this country for 140 years. And this motherfucker's on here bragging that he was on top for 88 weeks.
Yeah.
That's barely a year and a half, dude.
A blink of time.
Whoop-de-fucking-do. And then the crying, oh, we're much closer than I'd like to be right now. But he says, I learned from the mistakes I made. I learned from these mistakes. I know what it takes to become number one again. There's no doubt in my mind that someday we'll be number one again. Watching this fucking thing in 2018, howling with laughter.
So the point of this first Bischoff segment, the specific nitty-gritty, is that the on-screen story, this is not behind-the-scenes gossip, there's nothing you would see in the dirt sheets. The on-screen story is that Nitro sucks.
Yes. We fucked it up, but hey, listen, I'm going to turn it around again.
But yeah.
We didn't really need this storyline to figure that all out.
We've been well aware for some time.
Then this fucker promises he's going to turn it around. He presents this fucking show.
So that's the first Bischoff segment. Then there's the Hart Goldberg video package where Brett, after quitting, comes back and attacks Goldberg with a chair and then didn't appear on the show. So then we go back to Bischoff. Apparently he interfered in a Piper or Flair match, doing what he felt was right because Piper deserved to win. And again, I'll say this part again. The on-screen story is that Eric Bischoff is going to make this a better pro wrestling show by interfering in matches and determining who wins.
It ain't even that, dude.
This sucks on a metaphysical level.
You got more out of this than I did. Because once this fucking guy starts talking about angles at a pay-per-view that I didn't see, and that they haven't showed one clip for, he may as well have been fucking speaking Latin. He's talking about this match and this finish and this match. I'm like, what are you talking about? You interfered in what for who? Why? What happened?
Don't know.
What the fuck happened, dude? Help me out here. Then they go to the goddamn crowd.
Actually, Brian,
No.
I quoted, this is what, they go to the crowd, and this is exactly what Tony Schiavone said. Bear with me. I think that kind of shed some capacity, I think that kind of shed some light on his capacity as Slamboree. No, not official capacity. Therefore, he cannot reverse the decision of Ric Flair and Roddy Piper. As a matter of fact, I do understand, speaking of Roddy Piper, where are we going to now? We're going to some more from Eric Bischoff, and then there's a long pause, and then Eric Bischoff is back.
And now...
Did anyone actually watch this television show?
And now he's back to crying again. He learned lessons.
Dude, when
He's rambling about good decisions and bad decisions.
I got an opportunity in 1993 from Bill Shaw.
Fuck.
I've been watching wrestling since 1987. I can say religiously. I don't know who Bill Shaw is, and I don't care. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, or why in 1999 anyone would have cared about who gave Eric his big break. The visceral hatred I had for this entire episode of Nitro at this point.
This was the worst, dude.
This was impossibly bad. Like, what person put down this format and wrote it out and said, hey, fans will like this. People will stick around and watch. That's impossible. There's no way this show had more than 10 viewers. Single digits across the globe.
Millions.
Sucks.
More than watch Raw today.
No.
Yes.
This...
Don't get mad. What do you want me to fucking do about it? I'm answering your question.
I don't know. I just hate people.
Wrestling fans are gluttons, Vinny. We should know this.
Well, I gave that speech.
They're
after
begging for it.
Backlash, so I can't... I'm more the same. So Piper and Bischoff arrive in a limousine. Now, to this point, we're like
40 minutes in live.
Yeah. Nothing has happened on the show.
Nothing.
Nothing. But it's time for Mike Tenay to join the announcers. Schiavone has another line about how Bischoff turned the company around. So there's, from left to right, you're looking at Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, and Bobby Heenan. Mike Tenay goes in a spiel about Bret Hart and The Tonight Show, and I don't care. Tony and Heenan are sitting there looking bored, and that's the shot for more than a minute.
Yeah.
This is TV 101. This is community college TV production school. Don't shoot like this. Crowd is desperately bored. Starts training for the Nitro girls.
Who aren't there.
Who weren't even there. We had clips of Gorgeous George against Charles Robinson at the pay-per-view. And now we finally get wrestling.
Let me tell you about this wrestling, by the way. It's the debut on Nitro of Evan Courageous. He's exceedingly green.
My God.
He goes in there
So bad.
to wrestle Rey Mysterio. We're 45 minutes into the show. There's been no wrestling. They finally trot out these two guys to have a Cruiserweight Championship match. Now, granted, the match probably would have been bad if it were 9 minutes long, but it was supposed to be 9 minutes long. They fucking get in the ring and someone goes, take it home. Immediately.
I assume Ray.
They fucking go home.
Evan fucks up everything. Can you imagine having your Nitro debut with Ray Jr. and it's a sloppy mess? Evan fucks up everything. Ray says, fuck this. It's a top rope Rana, wins. So yes, 45 minutes waiting for a match that went like 2. A wretched show. A wretched program.
I don't know if I can finish this show here.
The only good thing that came out of this, I remember that Driving and Crying song, Fly Me Courageous, and I went back and listened to it. There you go.
Well, there's one. That's more than I got.
Okay.
The Horsemen go to Ric Flair's office with a special guest. Buddy fucking Lee Parker.
Who, what,
Now-
when, where, why, and how.
He hasn't been on TV in a while.
They answered none of these.
No. Now, because I watched wrestling religiously, I knew Buddy Lee Parker was one half of the State Patrol, a jobber tag team on Saturday night. So I knew who he was. He's a short, thick, angry man. They take him to Flair's office.
Emphasis on angry.
He was very angry. They say, I will take you off the road. I will give you an office and a secretary. And it's Flair, so you know he meant to fuck. Flair has a speech.
He did infer that.
Every wrestling promoter, he says, has pushed their kid. Gagne did it. Watts did it. Von Erich did it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push my kid down everyone's throat.
He's telling the people that this is fake.
Yes. So he gives Parker the finish. He says, I'm booking you against David.
And he was confused.
When you get the signal, I want you to go down.
No, Vinny. He said, and I quote, how the fuck did you miss this, you moron? When Double A gives you the office.
The office. Excuse me, the office.
If fucking Buddy Lee would have said the offense, like,
would have saved the show.
I'm retiring. I can move to Hawaii. You'll never see me again. My life would be complete. But he didn't. Flair promises this fucking guy that if you do this for me, I'm taking you off the road. I'm giving you a cushy office job. Buddy Lee exhibits zero traits that would convince anybody that he could take on an office role in WCW.
So Malenko and Benoit tell him, we know how tough you are. Now we need to see how versatile you are. And they had gotten the speech themselves once or twice. So they all leave with Parker. Flair brings out David and Tori, gives them the news. David's excited to hear about all this. He likes the finish. They all leave, and now it's left with Flair and Tori, and Flair flirts with her. So in the first hour of the show, we had whatever Eric is, whatever his job title of this company is, talking about making sure the right people go over to make the show better. Now, Flair's out here talking about promoters pushing their kids and giving guys finishes before the match. It's a bad parody of pro wrestling.
Tori looked amazing on this show. And
yes.
Didn't matter one fucking bit.
As she was walking away, Flair's eyes followed.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Ric Flair had an eye for a lovely young woman. How out of character.
Astute observation, Craig. Thank you.
You're lucky I was looking at Flair. Anyway.
Gene brings Booker T out for a promo. Booker is apparently feuding with Rick Steiner now. And I learned, later, Rick Steiner is now TV champion.
Yeah, I learned that too. I was like, they were literally doing a match with Rick Steiner. And Tony goes, this match is for the TV title. And I was like, who's the fucking champion? It's like Rick Steiner and Sting. One of you fuckers is the TV champion. Where was I? They never bothered to tell me. I have no idea.
I'm not watching Slambury.
Goddamn mystery.
So Booker lists all his championships, vows to win another TV championship tonight. David Flair versus Buddy Lee Parker.
Fucking atrocious.
David's out here. He has the gear and the physique of Zach Gowen with twice as many legs, but none of the talent. He's horrible. Grab a headlock and hang on is too much for David Flair to handle at this point in his life. So Parker fires up. The Horsemen all jump on the apron. The match continues. David Flair gets worse. I was begging for Evan Courageous to come back at this point.
Fuck off. Get out of here. This sucks. Buddy's given the office. David puts on the figure four. Buddy Lee taps.
Yeah.
Fans just boo their asses off. Not in a good way. Like, fuck you, what are we watching? This was horrifying. The only good thing about it was Charles Robinson wearing Ric Flair's trunks, knee pads, and boots under his referee shirt.
Yeah.
And Tori.
That was worth it. Not even Tori. This was that bad.
Need I remind you, Buddy Lee Parker's the one that told Batista he had no future in wrestling.
May I remind you, Buddy Lee Parker's the one who trained Goldberg, who's in the fucking Hall of Awesome. His legacy needs to be rewritten.
The following segment is the only thing stopping this from being one of the all-time worst TV shows in the history of the world.
Yes.
Ric Flair and Charles Robinson versus Randy Savage and Gorgeous George. First of all, before it gets good, it's more bullshit. George comes out on crutches in heels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, now let's just jump ahead. What's the story here? Was this a ruse for something later?
Yes.
Okay. Because later she's just running around with no crutches.
Yes.
Okay. So they saw the future.
Yes.
How?
I don't know. What do you want me to do?
That's impossible.
Randy Savage and Gorgeous George set a trap for later. They knew someone would be in the ring and they would want to get him. And so they set a trap and said, you get these crutches and pretend you're hurt. We'll have Medusa wrestle instead. This is a win-win all around. I'm not going to complain, Brian, that Medusa was in this match instead of Gorgeous George.
It's true.
Huh.
So, first, what?
Trying to find out where these women, where she stopped using her crutches.
You don't remember?
Where was it?
It was during the match.
No, it's during the promo. There's a promo later.
Oh, my bad.
Savage attacks somebody.
Who was it?
It's Piper.
Piper, okay. So they knew that Piper was going to come out later.
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
they saw him walk in the building.
Yes.
This is so fucking dumb.
That's where it gets unbelievable for you.
I mean, it's all unbelievable, but I was so angry watching this.
So, Charles Robinson was the best.
Yeah, he was.
Him and Medusa.
Yeah,
It
Charles
takes
Robinson
two to tango.
and Medusa. It was Charles being a goof, Medusa being a badass, and it was great and funny and awesome.
And she was kicking his ass. Like, she was legit taking him
Dude,
down.
There's no doubt in my mind that if they got into a fight, she'd kill him.
Oh, man, she was brutalizing him. The place is just going nuts. All they wanted was wrestling.
Charles is out there strutting around. He's got Ric Flair's tan and Giant Baba's arms. They go to a lockup. and
She couldn't find his arms.
Robinson's lockup is this. And Medusa has to lunge forward like 8 feet and just grab him.
Yeah.
But that made it look better because she reached out and grabbed him like a bear and just took him down. So both Nature Boys throw tantrums. Charles was actually better. And then we get Savage and Flair for a second. And then we get Robinson and Savage, which went about how you'd expect. Medusa tags back in. And she grabs Charles Robinson for a pile driver. Now, if you watch the mechanics of this, Charles Robinson should be dead right now. Because Medusa picks him up to do a sit-down pile driver, like most pro wrestlers do. But then instead of dropping to her ass, she drops to her knees, so Charles Robinson's head hits the ground. And Charles, instead of tucking his chin, he like arches his head, so he's like looking at the mat as he comes down. The exact wrong angle to land on your head.
There's no real good angle land on your head, but you're right.
You're
He
right.
took it like he was taking the Styles Clash.
Yeah. The only reason he's alive today is because he is so small, and Medusa, Medusa's an athlete, obviously, but she's not China or Asia. She's not like a giant powerhouse. But she was still strong enough to give him the gentlest, softest tombstone I've ever seen. So I'm laughing and laughing and laughing. And then Flair gets in.
This was the best.
How many horrible intergender matches on Lucha Underground did we watch and bury and talk about how we hated it and it made us sick? We didn't want to watch them. 20 years ago, Ric Flair and Medusa doing intergender stuff, and it's awesome.
If it were not for when she nearly killed him with the backdrop,
That's true.
this would have been the best wrestling on Nitro in, I can't even remember how long.
They did do a backdrop spot, and he was a little too big for her, I think.
Oh my God. But yeah, they work great together. She beat the shit out of him. He gets a heat with a belly to back.
Yeah.
He drops her on the mat. He's not punching her in the fucking face.
He's not
or
stomping her or kneeing her.
nothing.
Didn't even chop her. He wrestled her.
She was riding him like a pony at
She
one
did.
point.
He's selling his ass off for her.
It was great.
Probably getting more than a little bit of a thrill out of it. So Savage makes his comeback. Both Nature Boys go up top and get press slammed off. They both do Flair flips. Medusa's beating Ric Flair, up in the aisle. And Flair has no problem selling for her. I need everyone to remember that next time if you're an indie wrestler and you think maybe you're too big or too bad to be selling your opponent, Ric Flair sold for Medusa here in the aisle.
Sure did.
And Savage pinned Robinson with a big elbow. This match ruled.
So he crushed his esophagus and punctured a lung, I believe, with this flying elbow.
Broke some ribs as well.
Nearly killed this poor fucking guy.
On this one spot?
Yeah, that elbow.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, because his knee's all
He
fucked up.
legit
And so
almost died.
Oh.
he legit elbowed the guy in the birdcage chest.
That's
Whatever
not cool. The what now? Sternum.
No, it was I was watching a Zack Sabre Jr. match.
I see.
And
His chest looks like a bird cage.
they had
A bird.
That's true.
they had what's his face? The hippie. I forgot his fucking I'm so furious right now I can't even think
The
straight.
guy that's in New Japan that used to be in
CJ
NXT.
Parker.
Yeah.
The hell's his
Juice something.
Juice Robinson.
Juice Robinson, yeah.
Juice Robinson's doing commentary. And
really?
like, it's so awesome because Juice, he's going to be feuding with the guy, so he has to put him over,
Yeah.
but he's also fucking marrying him.
Okay.
He didn't say he had a chest like a bird cage. He said he had a chest like a bird.
Yeah.
You know, just like a skinny ass little chest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He goes, he's got a fucking chest like a bird, but goddamn, he wraps you up. It was like he would bury him, but then put him over, and bury him, and then put him. I was
That's what you do.
howling.
That's how it's supposed to be done.
That's what you do.
Hell yeah, that's what I do.
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Sure, he's a nice guy, but fuck. Let's slide him through a keyhole. So yeah, they almost killed Charles Robinson, this poor guy.
Jump around in the shower to get wet.
That sucks. And that's the end of the good shit on Nitro. Gene brings Piper out for a
Ah! This fucking Roddy Piper. Here's what I gotta say about it, okay? It's goddamn terrible. Even Roddy knew.
Roddy said like 4 times.
Roddy is literally, it's a bunch of gay jokes, Flair and drag. It's terribly unfunny. And he keeps telling us, I'm just reading it.
I didn't write this.
I didn't write it.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I got to say is, as fucking terrible as this was, the Al Snow thing with the goddamn deer head on Raw.
That was worse.
Was way worse than this.
Yes, I concur.
Now, you said that he said, I didn't write this. I'm just reading it.
Yes.
He actually had a clipboard with him.
Yes.
He was literally reading it.
He's reading this bullshit. And then he calls out Eric.
Top 10 reasons why Flair shouldn't be president.
He buries Eric 6 feet under for his bullshit interview earlier. And Bischoff says, judge me by what I do, not what I say. Piper doesn't believe a word he says. Piper is way smarter than I ever gave him credit for.
Did you catch?
Between burying this comedy and not believing a word Bischoff said, this was mind-blowing.
Did you catch when they arrived together at the building?
Well, that's another story entirely.
Well, they arrive together at the building. We don't know why, but Bischoff says, after you, and Piper says something like, no, I don't trust you behind me, after you. Because Piper was crazy, but he was not dumb. So,
Point right there, by the way. That's a key point.
Yes.
He was crazy, but he wasn't an idiot.
Speaking of crazy, Randy Savage comes back out. Earlier, like 10 minutes earlier, he was the star of the show and that everyone loved him and everyone's hero. Now he's a bad guy in this segment. He wants a title shot against Nash. Piper says, you'll get it, but you have to wait. Here is the point where George hits Piper with a crutch. So they had her on crutches for this whole show so she could hit Piper with one here.
So they knew there was going to be a bullshit Roddy Piper interview, and they were going to, and they knew. Okay, think about this. All right, you said that you saw Roddy Piper show up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in their mind, they knew there would be a bunch of people out there, and they needed Gorgeous George with a crutch to jump Roddy Piper from behind for Randy Savage to get the heat on Roddy Piper.
Yes.
They knew that in advance. Bullshit.
That was their plan.
This fucking sucks.
So
And then, correct me if I'm wrong. Randy Savage, he wants a title shot with Kevin Nash tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. He gives Piper a pile driver. He gives Eric a body slam. Eric goes up as heavy as humanly possible. I don't know how he wasn't killed.
Well, he saw what he did to Charles Robinson.
Randy goes up for the elbow, and I'm like, this is the end of Eric V. It's his fucking thing. But Kevin Nash comes out to make the save. Savage starts screaming at Nash, give me a title shot against that geek!
That's a quote.
Those were his exact
We
words.
call it that geek.
Bischoff jumps up now. He's not selling a thing. Nash accepts the challenge for tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what happened.
Savage challenged Nash
Right.
to a title match tonight. Nash said, okay.
Sure. And then he called his women hookers.
Match was Nash and DDP.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
There was no fucking Randy Savage. What in the fuck was this?
I don't know.
They spent all that time setting up a match that didn't even happen?
Right.
Maybe they didn't say tonight. I'd given up by this point. I want to talk about how Savage says, maybe you can lay down for me like you did for that other guy in the Georgia Dome. Nash's reply to this is, that was a political move. A political move, he says, here in the ring. You have to get this title out of my dead hands. So we can add to the list of inside references, dropping the title as a political move.
I hate this show.
This is awful.
This is one of the worst shows
I wish
I've ever
pain.
seen.
I wish pain and misery on those who are responsible for this program.
This made national fucking television.
And after all that,
You understand? This was on national TV. People were getting paid six figures for this.
Yeah. So Nash and Piper and Bischoff all left together, and it took a long time to do it.
They finally show us clips from the pay-per-view. After they showed them, I was even more upset.
Yeah, I was going to say, was this any better?
This show looked like an absolute fucking disaster. I didn't understand a goddamn thing that happened, even with video. And that's when I figured out that Piper beat Flair. I was watching an entire show where Flair was in charge based on a win that never happened. Then they set up a match that never happened.
right.
Yeah. So that happened. I don't know what happened in that match. I don't care.
Then we finally got some wrestling.
Sting and Goldberg, clips of that looked awesome, and then Bret Hart and both Steiners ran out and attacked both dudes. So yes, Rick's just a bad guy now. And then, yes, more than halfway through the show, we finally are shown Kevin Nash beating Dallas Page for the world title. So great. So, if you want to call this wrestling, I'm not sure.
This was not wrestling.
Hack comes out.
Oh, God.
As long as we're listing dated references, Hack is wearing an Evil Ernie t-shirt.
That's right.
That made me laugh. He claimed to have beaten up Bam Bam Bigelow and Kevin Nash and Bill Goldberg. What?
I don't know what he's fucking talking about.
What?
Well,
what?
Who cares? They're
The
just making shit up
Sandman
now.
beat up Goldberg? I'm skeptical. So Finley appears on the big screen and says, I'll come out and fight you. Finley versus Hack. They take turns hitting each other with shit for 10 goddamn minutes.
Well, hold on. To be fair, Finley did try to structure this as a match.
He did?
Involving gimmicks. Like, he tried. I don't know about Hack. Here's my theory. I got several things.
Did you say fury or theory?
Theory.
Little of column A, little of column
Okay, so this is a hardcore match? Okay, so there's a bunch of shit in the ring?
Sure is.
Why the absolute fuck did Nick Patrick tell Finley, you can't use this kendo stick?
I don't know. Why? What happened?
And then
50 minutes in, by the way.
and then 2 seconds later, Hack gets it, and the ref doesn't care.
No.
They waffle each other in the fucking head.
Just went through a commercial, everybody.
Brian Knobbs comes down, and I swear on a stack of Bibles this
Yes,
happened.
it did.
Brian Knobbs comes down to the ring. He starts attacking both guys. Tony Schiavone says, this is a fucking quote. Well, there's nothing Nick Patrick can do about it. That's
what he said.
It's a hardcore match. And then Nick Patrick goes, ring the bell.
Yeah.
There was a disqualification
In a hardcore
in a hardcore match.
They've been hitting each other with
There's
weapons
no
for
way.
15 minutes.
There's no way I can finish this.
They couldn't contain.
There's
the
no
mayhem.
way I can make it to 2001. I can't.
No, you can. You have to.
I can't.
We are on a quest to watch all of these Nitros,
You aren't
and we are
watching
going
them.
to finish
There's
them.
no way you're watching them, dude. They're only getting worse.
so fucking bad. I'm so happy. Can you imagine they were still around?
No.
We should all get down on our knees and thank the Lord above.
They survived, Vinny, as
for
TNA,
killing.
and we watched it.
Yeah, that sucked too.
They hired everybody.
I know.
Now, how long until Finley is in the match where he
I don't think it's
destroys
much
his
longer.
leg?
Almost loses his
like,
leg, yeah.
It's like a couple months, right?
I fuck if I know.
That fucking junkyard battle royal.
That's it.
You know. Rick Steiner is supposed to wrestle Booker T. Booker T is laid out backstage. I'm just skipping through the end of the show. I don't give a fuck anymore. Booker T is laid out backstage. Rick says, that's fine. You couldn't beat anyone without your brother's help. Somebody come fight me. Out comes Sting. So they do a match. Sting versus Rick Steiner. Bobby Heenan had a line here where he says, when you kick a man while he's down, you don't have to kick him that far. Word.
That's true.
They brawl on the floor. Sting makes a comeback in the ring. Scott Steiner comes out. Lex Luger comes out. Nothing happens. The ref calls for the bell.
Yep.
And what happened to the press conference from last week?
Wasn't Luger a heel?
I don't know.
Luger was like a heel. He was going to do a press conference. He had satellite issues, and then it just was totally dropped. Now he's here as a babyface.
Yes, last time we saw him before that was the Wolf Pack.
Fucking
he turned on
goddamn
Goldberg.
terrible.
Yes.
The only thing that I got is I try and find something interesting about every match.
Okay.
What I got out of this was, I don't know if it's interesting, but you got Rick and Scott are brothers.
Understood.
See, I think I see where you're going already.
Okay, so Scott comes across like his character is like a crazy guy,
Sure.
okay? But whenever you watch him in the ring, like you never feel that his opponent is actually in danger.
Okay.
He cooperates with his opponent.
Sure.
Like he carries himself as a dangerous crazy guy. But when he actually works, it's like, you know, guy's all right. Fucking Rick Steiner. This guy looks like he's just going to fuck with everybody. If he doesn't like you, he's going to beat your ass right there in the middle of the ring.
Sure.
There's nothing you can do about it. He doesn't give a shit. He's collecting his paycheck and going out there and doing whatever he wants, and he's actually dangerous. That's what I got watching this match. It was with Sting that he was cooperating with.
Yeah. There is a point, I forget what show it was. It was Nitro or Thunder, but Rick Steiner's supposed to wrestle Lash LaRue. And Lash is in the ring first, and he's being Lash, and Rick's doing his entrance, and he just walks calmly down to the ring, and he walks into the ring, and he walks up to Lash and punches him in the mouth. Just as hard as he can. Because he doesn't care. Conan versus Curt Hennig.
Point of all of this is that Filthy Tom and I will not be wrestling the Steiners.
Steiners.
Okay?
Wise.
fair.
That is a
I
wise
want y'all
decision.
to know that.
It's a good idea,
I'm telling you that right now. So if that fucking guy offers the Steiners tomorrow, this is all over.
Conan and Curt Hennig had a horrible match. Just awful. Hennig stalls forever. Nothing happens. They go to commercial. And then Hennig takes over and they lay on the mat doing leg holds. Fans are chanting boring over and over and over again. Goes for at least 15 minutes. The ref gets bumped. Savage comes out. He calls out Nash. Spits in Conan's face. Hennig knocks Conan out of the ring. Savage attacks him. Hennig wins with a super fisherman suplex. Hate this show.
When did Curt Hennig give up?
He'd given up by here.
Long time ago.
I mean, yeah.
I used to love watching that guy.
And what happened to the West Texas Rednecks? They began and then they're not there anymore.
They must still be coming.
Speaking of people that have given up, go ahead, Vince.
It's Rob.
Don't they come back once they bring in
They do come back.
Master P?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was pointing out that they began it and then they just stopped.
Well, they had to
Hennig
wait for
win
Master P.
Hennig and win over tag champs. That's right.
Yeah, what the fuck happened with that? No one knows? Okay.
I forget. I don't know. Benoit Malenko versus Raven and Saturn. In hindsight, did people at the time realize what a boring tag team Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko were?
They were insufferably boring.
What?
I think they'd given up.
There was no fire in these two.
They didn't care.
No.
They have 1 foot out the door right now, right?
Well, that's true. As does Raven, I think.
Now it's 2000, so they got months and months left.
jeez.
Yeah, 3 of these guys were the Radicals, and Raven wanted to join them. So this sucked forever. I don't know. It went a long time. It sucked.
It actually turned around at the end. Like the last
There
few
was
minutes
at least
were good.
Sure.
Lots of boring chants in a match with Benoit Malenko
And Saturn,
and Saturn and Raven.
who has his days.
Saturn has a lot of talent. He's a lot of pluses. Anyway, this fucking thing just goes forever. Canyon's out there. I forget how or why. Fucking somebody interferes for arm interference for Benoit Malenko, but then Saturn interferes or Canyon interferes. Saturn wins with
Who cares? Match ends. Saturn wins. They go backstage. They run into Bigelow. And they're like, well, why don't you get a partner? And he says, maybe I will. Turkeys.
Right.
Harsh.
Sick burn, dude.
DDP versus Kevin Nash. Bigelow's out there in Page's corner, interfering like crazy. I will say this: at least Kevin Nash was like the one guy in the show who put his match together, so there would be a heat segment, and the fans would cheer for a comeback. Nash had the best match layout on the show. The best match was Robinson, but Nash's match layout made the most sense.
Well, he's done it with DDP. What the hell do you expect?
That probably a lot.
DDP wrote it from start to finish.
That probably helped.
Handed him a script.
That probably helped.
Any questions? Here's my
So-
cell phone number.
Anyway, Bigelow hits the ring. It's not a DQ. Savage hits the ring. It's a fucking DQ.
I was astounded. I wasn't, but I was.
Garbage hits the ring. Savage is in there putting lipstick on Nash's face, and then I watched this like 20 times.
It was so awesome.
So the camera has a close up on Nash because Randy Savage has just put lipstick on his mouth and eyes and cheeks. For what I don't know why, but Savage is screaming, "Here's your world champion! Here's your world champion!" And then he stops, and you hear him say, "Come on in, hot shot."
Yeah.
Hot shot came on in. Fan jumps the rail, gets on the apron. Doug Dillinger and security swarms him, but Randy Savage steps in. And if you watch this closely, Randy Savage actually shoves Dillinger out of the way,
Yes.
so that he can grab this fan, yank him into the ring, and beat his ass.
Not only that, he fucking tackles this guy. He gets the mount. He starts punching this fucking guy. The guy's all covering up. Security then jumps in again to try and get the guy. Savage goes after security. They finally pull him off.
Yeah.
A madman.
He's a lunatic.
He was so happy to get his hands on this idiot.
I was too.
And boy, did he just it wasn't a double leg, but it was just like he speared him.
It was a high tackle.
Yeah.
He like grabbed him around the shoulder and head and just powered him down because he's fucking Macho
The
Man.
best part about it was when Savage pulls him down from behind, the fan is excited. He throws up the devil horns. Woo!
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah, that did not last. That did not last.
And then gets him on the ground and just kicks the crap out of him.
One of the best fan run-ins I've seen.
He had a sweet mustache, too.
Well, are you ready for this?
It's you, Vinny.
Oh, hey, yeah. So, the match is a DQ. The best performers on the show were Charles Robinson and that fan.
Not the fan, Savage.
Either way.
Are you ready for your finishes?
I'm prepared, Brian. Thank you for the warning.
Okay.
The finishes on this show were clean pin, submission in a match where the fix was in, clean pin, DQ in a hardcore match, DQ due to guys running in and not touching anybody, pin after copious interference, and DQ due to run in. And yes, that's it. That's all the matches in a 3-hour wrestling show.
Awful. Yes, Rob.
You know, I was going to say, I feel like at some point I want to start going through and watching these.
No,
Are you out of your mind?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Because I watched back then, and I hear you guys talking about them, and I remember bits and pieces from you describing them. I'm thinking, God, they can't be that bad.
Oh,
You're wrong.
And then I see how angry it makes you, and I'm like, I don't need that shit in my life.
No.
I'm angry enough as it is.
listen, Rob. Don't watch next week's show. Because next week's show is probably going to end up being good. And it's the show after Owen passes away, so you got the Benoit Bret Hart match.
Well, that's months later.
Oh, is it? I thought it was like,
Dude, Bret Hart's brother died. He
Oh,
needed a
that's
match
right.
the next
yeah,
night.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, point is, it may be good. So, watch this show. Watch the one we just reviewed one time.
Here, instead of watching Nitro, take your wiener and slam it in a glass door.
Excuse me, you take your wiener.
Yeah, it's about the same effect.
Craig, I've been married for 20 years. I don't need my
Okay.
dick anymore.
Craig,
What?
Jesus Christ.
Craig, I got a sliding glass door outside. I guarantee you that slamming your dick in that door is worse than this fucking Nitro.
I'm not sure.
Are you out of your mind?
Maybe he meant an actual hot dog. Get your Oscar Mayer.
Well, yeah, obviously, I'd rather slam a wiener in that door than watch his fucking show.